Essendon player Connor McKenna returned a low-grade irregularity yesterday after being tested as part of our COVID-19 protocols. He was tested again this morning, and we were informed this afternoon that the test came back as positive. The Health Department has been notified as per the protocols, and we will be working with the Health Department and the Chief Health Officer's team to work through and identify the close contact with Connor and to also isolate them. At the moment, all players and football department staff at the club have been asked to isolate until that work is done with the Health Department. Following a hookup this afternoon with our own medical team and our infectious diseases advisor, the AFL has taken the decision to postpone tomorrow's Essendon v Melbourne match. We said at the outset of this crisis that we would make all decisions based on medical advice, and our priority is and remains the health and safety of our players, staff and the wider community. That is priority 1, it's priority 2, it's priority 3. We need to do the right thing. The right thing for our clubs and the wider community is to postpone this match involving Essendon tomorrow. Other matches will proceed. All Essendon players and staff were tested last night, and Connor McKenna was the only person to return a positive test, even though he was asymptomatic and showed no signs of having the virus. We put this testing regime in place for a reason. It was to ensure that we knew if someone had the virus, and we would take the action to ensure we did not spread it to other players, staff or the wider community. Without the testing, we would not have known. So the system has done what it was designed to do. There have been more than 13,000 tests. This is the first positive, but given the circumstances, we will take a conservative approach. The club will be closed and cleaned as per the Health Department requirements, and we will work with the department to identify all those that they deem to have been in close contact and then to isolate them. We'll also work with the department to test all players and staff in the coming days in accordance with instructions and advice from the Health Department. Our immediate concern is with the player, and I do want to say that we will provide support for Connor and for those around him. We will work with our broadcasters to reschedule tomorrow's matches, and in fact, I can advise that the Gold Coast Adelaide game has been moved to Channel 7. It'll be a 3:05 game, and the Port Adelaide Fremantle game will be now at later, and I'll advise the exact time of that, 8 o'clock. We said at the outset we needed to be flexible and agile, and that's what we're going to be. This is a reminder that we're going to have to be on our toes at all times. I just want to say in finishing, there's a reminder to our own clubs, supporters, to the wider community that we are not through this crisis. We all need to continue to follow the government guidelines and do the right things to keep ourselves, our families and our community safe. And also to keep safe the health workers and essential workers who are still bearing the greatest risk. Questions? No, well, first of all, can I say that I will, the Health Department will make all of that clear, and they'll work through it in the coming days. But he has tested negative 5 times. He tested negative he was tested Wednesday, tested negative in that result. And there was such a low level in his test on Friday that it came up as an irregularity, and then it was a positive test this morning. So based on those facts, he picked it up this week here in Australia. But again, I'll defer to the Health Department. But they're the facts as we know them.
Was he allowed to train this morning after that irregularity was picked up yesterday?
I don't know whether he trained with the group this morning or they'll be working through it. They will be working through all the close contacts.
But potentially he might have had this irregularity and been allowed to train this morning. That's a potential?
It's a potential, yeah.
That must be concerning, though. Is that happening?
I think that when we work through this, all of the protocols will be examined and how that played out.
And just, I mean, are you surprised by this, or would you guarantee that this was going to happen at some point?
I think what we did was prepare a set of protocols and a fixture and I think prepared our clubs, our players for this possibility. There is a global pandemic with a virus that is incredibly contagious, and it's not defeated here in Australia and certainly not in Victoria. So, we have 16-minute quarters, we have the ability to compress the season, we have a clear set of protocols that come into play now. All of this has been set up with for situations like this.
Your best case scenario of playing that game again, given you've got to potentially play again next weekend?
Yeah, so, now our fixture guys will work through that. I don't have an answer for you at the moment, Glenn, but what we know is we have time and flexibility, whether we compress the season, whether it ends up being a bye, however that looks. We're working still with the West Australians about how return looks like there, so it'll go into the mix. And so it's why we've had this rolling 4-week fixture. It's why, again, we've got the shorter quarters. We've got the flexibility to deal with this.
So all other games will proceed as...
Yes.
Even next week, if that's obviously not related to Essendon?
Yes, they'll proceed. Whether they're in the exact structure or there's some tweaking that I'll work there with the broadcasters and the fixturing guys on that.
So how long will the Essendon club and players have to isolate for? Is it only until they all test negative and then that's it?
Again, I don't want to run ahead of the DHS. What they'll look is the close contacts, and obviously they've been the fact that these, this exact circumstances of this, the amount of testing that's been done. That is really for DHS, because I don't want to run into their space, and they'll advise us on that.
But they won't have to self-isolate for 14 days like that. That's not a set period now. Anyone who's come into contact with him, it might.
I'll leave that with the DHS. Yeah, again, the DHS will be making that decisions with our infectious diseases and medical teams, but I think it's fairly certain the club will be thoroughly cleaned over the next 24, 48 hours and shut down for that period.
Gillon, I'm just wondering how you can guarantee next week's game for Essendon to go ahead when they had that main session yesterday and Connor was a part of that, so he's interacted with...
I didn't guarantee that.
So the next week's Essendon game, it might not go ahead.
We will work through, it'll depend on the close contacts and the advice of DHS, so I haven't made a comment on that game.
Yeah. When will Connor next be tested? What's the timeline from here on?
In terms of him being tested, I mean, he'll be now tested at whatever appropriate time until he's negative. The rest of the group is scheduled to be tested on Tuesday.
So that won't be brought forward?
No, the initial advice, I think that's our internal advice, is that given incubation periods and others, that's about right to leave it there. They might move it back and forth.
What's the doomsday if single teammates have it as well?
I think in the end, if there's multiple players down, it's a challenge for Essendon. But the way we've been, we now know exactly when. We know every player was negative on Wednesday's test. We know every player is negative bar one today, and I think that gives us a lot of comfort. That's why the protocols were set up.
You said in March, Gillon, on the initial that you shut the competition down for 30 days. I think that's obviously...
Yeah, that was when we didn't have resilience measures, testing, ability to do close contacts. Every training session has been videoed. You know exactly who the close contacts have been. So we didn't have all of those measures in place. I think you're asking about international players. Connor, as my understanding, did a full isolation quarantine and has been tested multiple times negative since. I think I'm answering your question.
You've done so much work to get the season back up and running. What was your initial reaction?
Clearly disappointed for Connor, disappointed for Essendon, their playing cohort. But I think in the end, this was always a possibility, whether it was likely or not. I'm pleased that the testing picked it up. He was asymptomatic. I'm pleased that worked. I'm pleased that we had a whole series of procedures we put into place quite quickly. So, we've got an ability to rejig our fixture and work through this. So I feel we are well prepared. Clearly disappointed, as I said, for the player, the team, the competition. But we understand that this is a possibility, and we'll work through it, and we'll work through it, and it'll be, a requirement to be flexible and agile, but we'll work through it.
Is it after your answer about the Welsh player, does that mean you're fairly confident he hasn't returned positive from
Yeah, I had a good go at that one early. Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident given the advice I have, but again, I will not run ahead of DHS and others. But my understanding is he's come back, quarantined, he's tested negative 5 times. He tested negative on Wednesday's test, and then there was a very low level which came up as an irregularity, or I won't technically do it, which means the infection, as my understanding, was starting in the last 24 hours and tested positive today, which, again, waiting for DHS, but it gives every indication that he's picked it up here in Melbourne in this week. It's a bit early for all that. I mean, that's exactly what DHS and the club and everyone will do.
In terms of the competition, though, is it sort of in limbo now until everyone else gets the tests, or do you find out how many positive
There's
tests?
clearly a level of uncertainty, but this whole year is like this. This is the latest challenge in a year that's had so many challenges already, and we'll deal with it. This is the priority is Connor and his health. He's asymptomatic at the moment, so he feels like all of us. Hopefully he stays healthy and well like that. Hopefully it's contained to Connor. We'll work through the issues. We'll work through the rescheduling of fixture. We'll work with our broadcasters who have been great. Thank you, Seven and Foxtel and Telstra. And we'll get through this. And it'll just be another fork in the road for this season.
Have you spoken to the players, the Essendon playing group, and just sort of detail them?
We've only had this is probably 2 hours in. 2 hours, yeah. So again, I'm putting a big caveat that DHS will get to the bottom of this. I'm trying to give you the best information we have at the moment.
With these restrictions on the players and what they can do, is that something you'll revisit now, given what's happening?
I'm sure that the team will look at that. I think they've been modest restrictions. What I'd say to everyone, this is an amazing reminder about why we have the protocols in place that are tougher than the community standard on our players and our footy department officials.
We're going to finish there, guys. Just to confirm, Connor didn't train this morning.
He did
not train this morning.
Did not train.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
I wish I'd been able to answer that because he did not train this morning because there was a result, an irregularity, which was the right outcome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.